Hey folks, Eric here on Wednesday, September 28th with a nice big stack of goodies from the comic book store. This is all the stuff that I ordered. I think I don't think there's any surprises in here. I think it's all stuff I ordered. We'll find out together because I don't remember everything that's in this pile. But let's jump in and start with Stillwater issue 15 from Image Comics, written by Chip Zdarsky. Such a great ongoing story that I really can't tell you about because it would spoil it, and you should read this. It's horror adjacent. It's not a thriller. I don't know what you would call it, but it's about this town of Stillwater and the secrets that it contains. Really good stuff. Issue 15. Then we have The Human Target, Book 7 from DC, Black Label. This is a Tom King book. It's been good so far, and I dig this cover. I swapped out the cover that they pulled for me. There's the back cover, but I like this sort of retro look that this one has. It's like the movie DOA. Basically, the human target has been poisoned, and he's trying to figure out who killed him. Then we have Batman Beyond White Knight, number 5, I believe I saw. That's DC. That's Black Label. Great set of miniseries. I mention this every time one of these comes up. I have not dug into this one yet, but they've all been really good so far. There's the back cover for you, but fantastic. Batman White Knight, and then I forget what the second one was called. And then there's a Harley Quinn series, and there's a Red Hood one shot, one or two. But really interesting alternate version of Batman. And then I'm gonna be horrible at this. This is Marvel Voices Comunidades. I'm not sure how you say it. It's their quarterly. Not sure exactly how often they come out. Their voices, the I hate to use minority, but BIPOC and sometimes it's LGBTQ, just different, focusing on different characters. And we've got America Chavez, Reptile. I assume that's a Miles Morales costume. So just a bunch of different stories by a bunch of different creators with a bunch of different characters. Looks like White Tiger is there. There's Nova. So these are always fun anthology books. Then we have Heart Eyes, number 2 from Vault. And very difficult to describe. When the first issue came out, my local comic shop proprietor was talking about how great it was, so I picked it up, and it was definitely worth picking up the rest of the series. It's this sort of post-apocalyptic world with these sort of kaiju, cosmic entity creatures, and this young woman who is just wandering around, and the people are living underground, and they don't understand how she's surviving wandering around out in the world, and it's a mystery what's going on, but it was really good, really interesting. So that's number 2. Then it feels like it's been a while for this. This is The Nice House on the Lake, book 10 from DC. It's Black Label, James Tynion the 4th. This crazy horror maxi series is going to be 12 issues. And again, I don't want to say too much about it because that would spoil it, but it is a bunch of people in a house on a lake, and there's something crazy, horrific going on. It's not a slasher or anything like that. It's a little more cerebral. But it's been really good. I believe it's 12 issues. Speaking of, this should be the last issue. Task Force Z, issue 12. Is Jason Todd dead again? What is going on? I am way behind on this, so I have no idea what led up to this. Originally solicited, I believe, as an ongoing, but then all of a sudden in the catalog it became 12. So we'll see how it ends. Love Jason Todd, Red Hood. A book that I'm loving. I know some people that like it, some people that don't, but I love it. DC versus Vampires. This is number 9 of 12. As I said, I really dig it. It's obviously an alternate world because a lot of the heroes have become vampires, and a lot of them have been killed. So, it's not like everything's going to go back to normal, but I'm digging it. I really like it. Only a few more issues to go. Here is the big one for this week. This is from DC Horror. This is issue 1 of 6. And I'm going to cover this up for the moment. Cover up the bottom. This is Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. And it is written by New York Times best-selling author and horror icon Bruce Campbell. So, let me see. Where are the credits? Are they going to be at the end? See if he's the sole writer credited. Yes, Bruce Campbell, writer. Eduardo Rizzo. Ooh, Eduardo Rizzo. I like his work. Nice. So, Sergeant Rock and the Easy Company versus the Army of the Dead, written by Bruce Campbell. Very exciting. This is going on top of the pile, along with DC versus Vampires. This is one of those books I had to decide if I was going to get it monthly or wait for the trade. And it's DC horror, so usually I get those monthly, plus Bruce Campbell. What could go wrong? That's it for the floppies, as they're called. And I got some trade paperbacks, some collected editions. Let us start with Conan the Barbarian Epic Collection Volume 6, Vengeance in Ascalon. Ascalon? I don't know how you would say that. This collects Conan the Barbarian 72 through 88. There you go. It'll go up on the shelf and look nice and neat with that spine. Just more of that classic Conan that I love. So happy these are coming out. Even though Marvel has lost the rights to Conan, I think they're allowed to keep reprinting their old stuff till they're done, I would assume. But there you go, some Conan. And then we have The Avengers, Volume 10, The Death Hunters. We got some Namor there, and Black Panther. Gosh, I wonder if they're on the cover because of a certain movie that's coming out relatively soon. I don't even see them in this book. But this has Avengers 51 through 56, Free Comic Book Day 2021, Avengers Hulk number 1, and Avengers 1 million BC. So, this is Jason Aaron still doing his Avengers run, and it's been good stuff. Then we have Deja Thoris versus John Carter of Mars, and this reprints Deja Thoris versus John Carter of Mars 1 through 6. I've always been a John Carter fan. This is from Dynamite. They're the ones with the rights. And these collections always have all the alternate covers. And so this should be good, pulpy fun, I hope. And then finally, for the collected editions, we have Strange, Volume 1. This is the follow-up to the Death of Doctor Strange miniseries. I already know who becomes the Sorcerer Supreme after the death of Doctor Strange, but I don't know anything else. I have no idea what's going to go on in this story. I assume that eventually Stephen Strange will return, but right now, I don't know. I'll find out. This has Collecting Strange 1 through 5. So there you go. And then finally, last week we had the regular previews and the DC previews, and this week the Marvel previews came out. So that says Dark Web. Took me a while to decipher what that said. We got some Miles Morales on the back. Looks like he's getting a new title. They just love starting with number ones again. So there we go. I always have fun looking through these. That's it. That is what I got from the comic book shop on September 28th, 2022. I'm actually going to ask a question, which is in honor of Bruce Campbell having his comic book come out. And a few weeks ago, I had the trade paperback of the miniseries, The Thing miniseries that Walter Mosley wrote. So my question to you is, what author would you like to see write a comic book? What author do you like enough that you would pick up a comic book that they wrote? Now, there's tons of authors that have written comics. I keep talking about doing a series based on authors I discovered through comic books. But Brian Keene has written comics, Christopher Golden, Jonathan Mayberry, and of course then there's Greg Rucka and Nancy Collins and Dwayne Swarzynski, and I'm sure there's Neil Gaiman, of course. You know, I'm sure there's plenty that I'm forgetting. Victor Laval. So what author would get you if you're not a regular comic book reader? I know some of you out there aren't. But then I don't know if you're watching these videos. But what author would you like to see write a comic book? Off the top of my head, because I did not think of this ahead of time, I think F. Paul Wilson has written some Repairman Jack comic books, and then there was DC put out a horror book that had had Brian Keene, Mary Sangiovanni, Edward Lee. I don't remember all of them, but it was all written by Brian Smith. Had a story in there, all written by horror authors. Why do I ask these questions when I don't have an answer? I'm just kind of looking around to see if anybody jumps out at me that isn't one of the people that I just mentioned. Jeff Strand. I'm trying to remember if he had a story in that thing. I think Jeff Strand could write a good, funny horror comic. I mean, that's what he does. I mean, he could write a good horror comic as well, but I actually, years ago, posted a thing on Facebook and tagged a bunch of authors because, you know, Marvel keeps putting out, or different publishers keep putting out original Marvel novels, and I wrote a list of the authors that I would like to see write original Marvel novels and the characters I would want them to write. And I said Slapstick for Jeff Strand. And Slapstick is a character solidly ensconced in the Marvel Universe who is basically a cartoon character. Like, if he gets flattened by a steamroller, he can blow into his thumb and re-expand. He's straight up a Looney Tunes character in the Marvel Universe. And I thought Jeff Strand could write a great slapstick book. So why not have Jeff Strand write a slapstick comic, a mini-series? Let's do it. R.L. Stine wrote a Man-Thing mini-series. I have that. Anyway, so that's going to be my choice since I'm rambling at this point. Jeff Strand. I'd love to see him write a slapstick miniseries. What author would you like to see write a comic book? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at my channel. Does anybody listen to the video when I get to this point? Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That is all I have for you this week. So until next week, read more comic books.